I've got podcasting gear to recommend to you today, not just audio, but also video stuff as well. If you're just kind of starting out, you don't know what to get, this is a pretty exhaustive list of everything that you could potentially get, and there's a few different price points in there as well. We're going to go through things like USB only mics, USB XLR combos, XLRs, wireless options, preamps, boom arms, headphones, cameras, cables for those cameras, webcams, lighting options, and tripods or stands as well. So it's quite a good list, and what better time of year to do this than around the Black Friday sales. If you're watching this at time of recording or close to, we are coming up to that time, so you may get some really decent deals on here. Some of these things I have with me that I can show you in my hands. Some of these things I don't have, which we will put on screen here so that you can see them. I've put links to everything in the description below so that you can go in and just click on things and purchase them if you want. We are affiliated with Amazon, so if you do buy anything from those little clicky links, then we get a tiny kickback from that, which, you know, is very nice. It's very nice to receive those little things. So thanks for doing that if that's the case. All right, so let's get stuck in to my recommendations for podcasters, both audio and video podcasters. First up, we're going to go through USB microphones. The first one I'm going to recommend is the Rode NT USB Mini. Here it is. It's a little tiny mic. It's got its own stand. I've done a full review. I've battled this microphone against other microphones in a kind of similar vein here. It is a condenser microphone. It does have a few issues with, because it's a condenser, it will pick up more than the dynamic microphones will. It needs to be a little bit more of a treated sort of room. So as long as you're nice and close to this microphone, it is a beautiful option. And at time of recording, US dollars, it's like $89. So on the Black Friday sales, it might even be cheaper than that. It's a very cheap option for a USB only situation. Something that I would recommend if you're just getting started. It's got a really nice sound and it's not going to break the bank. Now, for something that's a little bit more expensive in the USB realm, USB only, I'm going to recommend the SE Neo. Now, I have a review of this microphone where I do all the sorts of tests, and it's $179 at time of recording versus $89. So it's definitely more expensive, but it sounds better. It is a condenser as well, so they're both condensers, but this one has more control. It has buttons that you can actually do things with, whereas the NT-USB Mini doesn't have those. And it sounds like it's a nicer sounding mic. So if you're interested in that one, go and watch the review of this microphone so that you can decide for yourself. But if all you're looking for is a USB option, this is a beautiful option and it looks cool, but you will need a pop filter for this as well. So I'll put a link to some pop filters that could work for this as well. Now we're moving into USB/XLR, so that hybrid microphone that can do both things. The Rode PodMic USB XLR, obviously it has two inputs. I've battled this microphone against a lot of microphones. You'll see them on our YouTube channel and it wins a lot. Okay, spoiler alert, it wins a lot because for the price point, like it's about $200 US, it's just a solid mic and it's really handy and it's a dynamic microphone, so it handles noisier environments really well. And the fact that it has both USB and XLR means that you can upgrade this setup to something that needs XLR and like fancier preamps and all that. You can use this one mic and it will last you a really long time. So that is an absolute definite recommendation if you're looking for a combo USB XLR at a good price point of around $200. We've also got the Shure MV7 Plus. Now, I don't have that microphone here, okay? I have the Shure MV7, but I don't want to recommend that one because I actually don't think it's anywhere near as good as the updated MV7 Plus version. The MV7, there were some issues that really needed to be addressed, and so they brought out the Plus version, which basically fixed the issues that people were having with the MV7. So that's a good recommendation if you love Shure products. If you want it to be Shure, then yeah, you could definitely get the MV7 Plus. It is XLR and USB as well, and that one's just a little bit more expensive, around $249. Yeah, So they're my two recommendations if you want a combo, being XLR and USB, so that you could potentially upgrade your system as you get further along in podcasting. Go for one of those. Now we're going to move into XLR Only Microphones. Now, I'm not going to be surprising anybody that knows this channel when I say this one here that I'm using, the SE DCM8, is absolute my favorite recommendation for XLR microphones. Again, I have battled this microphone against others and it always wins. It always wins because the tone in this microphone is so much nicer than anything else that I've come across, especially for female voices, but males too. So this one to me is kind of a no-brainer. It's $299 US at time of recording, and that's a very good price for a very nice microphone. I recommend this one. I could just recommend it all day. So SE A+ on delivering such a good mic here. The other one I will recommend is the SM7DB. The only difference between the SM7B and the SM7DB really is the fact that it has a booster inside of it. This is the SE Dynamite, which essentially means that if your microphone doesn't have enough level, it needs boost to get it to sound good with the preamp that you're using, you plug it into this and it gives it that extra boost that it needs to get it to the level that you need it to get to. So the Shure SM7B didn't have that. You always had to buy one of these things to attach to it to get it to the level it needed to be at. Otherwise, it sounded pretty trash because it was such a low level and you had to turn the gain up so high to get it to where it needed to be. What they did with the SM7DB is they basically put one of these inside of the SM7DB so that you didn't have to buy an extra booster. Yeah? So basically the same mic. It's pretty expensive, $449. I will recommend it because otherwise people will be like, why didn't you recommend the Shure products? I mean, they're good. That is good, but I just think it's expensive. It sounds good. I think it's expensive. I'll let you make that decision yourself, but I'd be going for this one. All right, next, let's do some wireless setups. I'm going to recommend the Rode Wireless Pro. I've done a review of this separately so that you can take a look at it. Yes, it comes in 2 boxes. It's kind of weird that it's 2 boxes, but it does need a box for all its little accessories, and it does need one for its microphones and things as well. Why I'm recommending this one is because it just sounds good, right? So the actual quality, the timbre, the tone, the bass, the settings, the things that you can change with this Rode Wireless Pro is best in class. At this point, best in class. And it's $363. So yeah, I would be recommending that. Now I've also used I have the DJI Mic 2. Few things I don't love about this one, and I have a review on it. So I'm not going to spoil it for you, but I would recommend this over this because they're basically the same price, and I think Rode has done a better job. Sennheiser is and has just brought something to the market, which I haven't tried yet, so I can't recommend or tell you anything about that one yet, but that would be one to watch when it is available to purchase. I will certainly be doing so and giving you a full review of that one as well. So wireless Pro from Rode is my pick for your wireless options. That's if you're wanting to do interviews, you have multiple people, you want to record on location, you don't want to have the whole big setup and everything, you can just use a wireless system. Now we're going to talk about XLR leads. So you've got an XLR microphone, let's say, you need a lead that goes with it. All XLR leads are not created equally, okay? Some of them are terrible, they break really easily, they're just bad. Don't skimp on the lead. Like, as far as pricing goes, more expensive is better because it's going to last you a lot longer. I promise you, if you treat your leads with care, they can last you a very long time. For example, I've got this one here. I've got a bunch of these, and these are Planet Wave leads that I think I have now had for probably 15 to 18 years, and they are still going strong. So if you take care of it, if you make sure that you fold them up properly, which I learned at uni. That was actually one of the first things we learned in our university degree, is how to coil a lead properly so that they don't get damaged. So XLR leads are really good to make sure that you get a solid one for, and I recommend Mogami, Rode and Elgato for XLR leads. There are some others as well, so really good German brands. What you're kind of looking for there is gold plated. I probably wouldn't recommend you get these on Amazon. If you go to a music store and you ask for XLR leads, I would say around between 3 meters and on. Like, don't get one that's really small, get one 3 meters or over. And yeah, just get them to show you just the gold plated ones. And it will cost you a bit. It's not going to break the bank. You only have to do it once. Look after them and you'll be able to keep those leads for a really long time. The Rode ones are cool because they come in different colors. I like that. But yeah, it doesn't have to be Rode. Certainly can be others as well. Now we're looking at preamps. So if you have an XLR microphone and you have an XLR lead, then you need to be able to plug that into something. And you can't plug that straight into your computer. You have to plug it into a preamp. I'm going to give you a couple of recommendations here. The preamp will then plug into your laptop or your computer, and you'll get that beautiful rich sound from XLR there. So we have the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2 4th Gen. That's a pretty cheap option. It's around $190-ish US, and it does a really decent job. Focusrite is a very good brand that is very well known. I would recommend that one as a good starting point, and it is what we've recommended to clients that don't want to spend too much on a preamp. Focusrite does a really good job. I also recommend the Rodecaster Duo. So if it's just you and potentially you and someone else, then the Rodecaster Duo does a very good job, and it has lots of fun buttons, and it has sound effects, and it has things you can record into, and it's got really good AFX processing. It's great. It's more expensive. It's about $480, $490 kind of realm, but it's a great setup, great system as well for those that want a little bit more. And you can also record straight into it as well, so you don't need to plug it into anything. You could just take it to a location and then have a little micro SD and record straight into it as well. So it's a good multi-use tool, whereas the Focusrite, you need to just have it plugged into your computer all the time. So we've got a microphone, we've got cables, we've got a preamp if we need all those things. And if we've got a USB mic, it's just the USB mic. You want to make sure that you put it on a boom arm. That's really the only way that you're going to get the mic close enough to you without you having to hold it, and it not be in the way of everything as well. So I would recommend that you get the Rode PSA 1 Plus. This is a very good stand. It swings out of the way really easy. I'm going to show you. Where is it? It's nowhere. Nowhere to be found. So yeah. You can see I can bring it back into shot really easily. It's very quiet. It's a decent price. It's around $129. Now, the other one that I recommend is the Elgato Wave Low Profile. So you will see a lot of video podcasters especially use the low profile because it doesn't have this like arm that goes this way. It goes down, hence the low profile, which means it takes up even less of the shot. So I like that as an option for someone that wants to kind of keep it a little bit more minimal. It does reach around the same length. It is much closer to the desk then. So if you were trying to type and have it, I think it would be getting in the way. So if you're a streamer, maybe the low profile might not quite work because you might keep hitting it. But those are two really good options. And the Elgato Wave is around $99. So they're very similar costs there as well. Headphones are up next. Headphones, I absolutely recommend that you purchase because if you're recording just by yourself, you don't really need them, although it's fun to listen to yourself and kind of get a monitoring level so that you know that it's actually recording and that it sounds good. And certainly if you're editing, I absolutely recommend you get headphones. But if you're recording with guests, then you definitely need headphones. Not in the same location, you don't need headphones there. But if you're recording over Riverside or heaven forbid Zoom, then you need headphones so that your microphone isn't picking up their sound coming through to your microphone from the bleed and it causes a big old mess, which I absolutely hate. So I have 2 recommendations for headphones. You don't need to spend heaps, but it is cool to get some that are over ears, and I would recommend you get wired so that you don't have issues with connection loss, Bluetooth lagging, things like that. Especially if you're editing, wireless ones don't work so well with editing. So we have the Audio-Technica ATH M20X. These are pretty cheap. They're pretty cheap, okay? They're pretty good though. They're like $49. And yeah, the stuff around the ears sort of starts to come off a bit. That's pretty par for the course for anything that's a cheaper sort of model and it's coated more in like a plastic thing. But they sound good. They're easy to wear. They, stay on. They're really light because there's nothing much to them. And I use these for like if I'm sitting at the piano or something and I don't need my big headphones, I'll just wear these little ones. I don't care about these ones so much because they're just, the sound is not as full, it's not as interesting, there's not depth. I don't edit with these headphones on, but if all you're doing is being able to hear people over, Riverside, this is fine. Just get something like this. Yeah, they're really cheap. And then my other recommendation is the Beyerdynamic brand DT990. Oh my God. Let me give you these. These are beautiful. Beyerdynamic does such good headphones. And if you're looking at doing some editing and you feel like you need something that just gives you a little bit more of that like richer sound that you can edit properly, but they're not weighted in any particular frequency, this is good. These are good. They are about $179, so again, not super expensive. There are much more expensive headphones, okay? Headphones can get crazy expensive, and with good reason a lot of the time. These ones are great because you can wear them for a long time without it hurting your head. A lot of headphones are too heavy. They're just really heavy. And if you're editing or if you're on a couple of Zoom calls and you're sitting here with giant headphones on, they start to get heavy. You get a headache. This bit here starts to hurt. Up here can hurt, So you want something that you can just have on for ages. So these are really good for that. They will be able to last a very long time. I love them. They're also fabric, so they don't wear as quickly as the more like plasticky version do. And they are my 2 recommendations. Guys, I could recommend a lot more very expensive gear, and I'm purposely not doing that. There's so many things that I could recommend, but I just feel like I don't want you to spend too much on things that you don't need. I'm very much like that myself. Like if you don't need it, don't go spending above what you actually need. Make your way there, invest what you can, but know your limits as well. Now we're going to get into cameras. Now again, you could spend thousands of dollars on cameras. If you want to get a camera setup that makes your video podcasting look nicer, then I only have one recommendation, and that is the Sony ZV-E10 Mark II. Sony ZV-E10, the first one is still very good, but the Mark II is better. So I would recommend that one, and it is currently sitting at around $1,000, which is pretty good. And that's with the kit lens. So you might not want the kit lens. You might want something that's a bit better. It gives you more depth of field. It gives you, more reach. If you're further enough away from your source, then you do have the capabilities of having a better lens. I have a better lens on this one. The Sony ZV-E10 Mark II is what you're seeing right now. That's what I'm using to record. And it's just beautiful, and it's just easy to use, and it's small, and I don't recommend anything else to anyone this is all they're doing. You don't need a really massive camera. Just get something that will do, that's within your capabilities, and it just looks great. You will also need an Elgato cam link to attach it to your computer if you're wanting to get the full 4K experience. So I recommend that, and I've put a link in there as well. And you'll need a small rig micro to HDMI cable so that you can get the true HD from the camera through to your computer as well. So they're just a few little extra cables that most people don't tell you about, and then you buy the thing and you're like, well, how do I connect it to my thing now? Like I can do it via the USB, but it's actually not as good a quality as doing it via the HDMI. So that is the recommendation there. Now let's get into some webcams. So let's say, okay, I really don't want to spend $1,000 on a video camera. I want to spend a little bit less and it's too much of a footprint and all the things. You can just get a webcam. I've got two options for you here. We've got the Elgato Facecam Pro, which I've recommended and we've recommended to clients as well. And it's a really solid choice. It is around $299. But Insta360 Link 2 has just come out recently and it's cheaper at $199. So that would be potentially worth trialing as well. Both do 4K, both are very good brands, both will be solid options. Not my first option for sure, but if you're wanting to get above the webcam that's included on your laptop or your PC or whatever, those webcams are an option and they're much cheaper than buying an actual camera. Once you've got cameras, you do need to do something about your lighting. Now, if you're lucky enough to have a window, then you can just use the window potentially as your light source. But keeping in mind, you've got clouds, you've got days where, you've got cloud that comes and goes, and then you've got different light that comes in. It's good to control the light if you can. Like in this case, I have a window that I could use, but I don't use that because it's so variable. Sometimes it's whacking me in the face with way too much light, and sometimes it's too cloudy. So we use the Aperture Amaran 200X and the Aperture Light Dome Mini. They're up to version 3. Why the Mini? Because the Mini Dome is much smaller, hence the name, than the big light dome. And for a small room like this, and for most people, you don't need a giant light dome. You just need a small light dome that will diffuse the light and it will be wonderful. So they're the recommendations that I have for that. If you're wanting a setup where you get like a big light on a stand and it helps you with just that really nice natural kind of light there. You can see it's coming in. We've also got lights in the background here. I've got a light that I normally have here as well. And I've also got another key light. So we've got lights that do different things. You can see we've got a lamp down there as well. So you've got options there as far as lighting. And I will do a separate video. Actually, I'll probably get our head of video to do the video on lighting so that you understand. But that's my recommendations for that if you want a light that's on a stand that's like kind of your hero light. If you're not looking to spend that much, then you could get the Elgato Key Light Air. They don't even need a stand because they have a stand and that just stands on your desk. They're not super bright, but they are enough. I would probably get 2 of them if you were going to do that and then position them on your desk, kind of both hitting you, and then have some sort of other light in the background as well. The Key Light Air is around $109. And so you can see that's a pretty cheap option, even if you got 2 of them, and then you got nice light either side as well. Now, speaking of that other light too, with the big light box, the filter and everything, you will need a stand for that. So I've included like a tripod stand that's from Small Rig. We have a really heavy duty one, but you don't need it to be super heavy duty like ours. I recommend, Small Rig one. It's about $70-ish, but you can spend more or less on those if you want to as well. Again, it should be one of those things that you invest in because they do break and they do have weight limits, and it's important for you to get something that's just going to last. And also on stands, we also recommend these Small Rig. Oh my God, these are so good. The Small Rig desk clamps. So they're just clamp to your desk and you can just shove anything on them that has this. So you could have, different cameras, you could have lights. It's just really, really a solid choice. If you had like a teleprompter and you wanted to put that on one of these, I love them. And they're not, again, very expensive. I'm going to put a link to those here as well. Oh my gosh. That's quite a list. So we've got USB only, USB XLR, XLR, wireless, XLR cables, preamps, boom arms, headphones, cameras, cables for your cameras, stands, webcams, lighting. There's a lot of things there. And these are my absolute recommendations. This is gear that I've personally used or I've watched enough of or I've watched enough people use that I know, yes, that's solid. That's a good option. The only one I haven't used, I think, is the SM7DB and the MV7 Plus. I've used the SM7 and I've used the MV7, but I haven't used their upgraded versions. And based on what I know of them, what I've heard, what I've seen, what I've listened to, I know that they're going to be solid choices. So I definitely put them in there for you as well. Every single thing that I've mentioned will be in the description of this video, so you can go ahead and just get whatever you need. If you've got any questions, please put them in the comments below this video and I'll be happy to answer them, as many as I can. If you want troubleshooting, technical help, anything like that, you can always book in consults with us here at Bamby Media. We can look at your setup, we can sit with you and we can go, you need this. We recommend you buy these 4 things, yeah? So that's an option as well. Happy to have those consultations. And yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Do all the normal things that people tell you to do, like it. Just thank you. Thank you for being here. I hope you have a wonderful day and happy shopping.